they didn't tighten down the brake lines. Not something I love from an everyday car, which my wife drives with my little kiddo, my shop. It is now named Horse and Bull Fine Automobile Service. This is my first client car. If you want a brand new car with a warranty where people throw parts at it and everything's perfect all the time, well then that's why they sell brand new cars. But if you need somebody to help you through the world of vintage and esoteric, funky handmade cars that have a soul and need somebody to talk to them just right, well then that may be me. What's up, people? I have decided to start my own service shop for fine automobiles, more specifically things that are handmade. And today I wanted to tell you a little story as to why I've decided to do this or what sparked it as it relates to my 1996 Silver Star Rolls Royce that I bought to fix up a bit. Also has part of the story goes back in the day when I worked on old Ferraris such as this 308 Berlinetta and the Mondial, which is not here right now. And also my very first client car, which is this beautiful Rolls Royce here, and some things upcoming because I think it's going to be fun. And on this channel, I'm going to start doing videos whether it's a car such as this or a Rolls Royce such as mine or the yellow 308 back there, going to do a model video. So you guys, I can give you a quick review of what it is about every single model. If you're out there thinking of buying a particular make and model of car, hopefully that will be helpful. Something from one car guy, gentleman racer / mechanic restorer to another, rather than just kind of kooky, quirky reviews, even if we find them valuable. Sometimes I think you need someone that spent more wrench time and wheel time to give you a review. So we're gonna do those. But we're also going to do videos on what's wrong with the car. Maybe not wildly in depth in terms of how to fix every little thing, but things for you to look for so that when you're looking to buy a car, whether it's a silly old Rolls like this, or maybe it's a Viper or something like that, doesn't matter. You will be more educated with what to find. So, my shop, it is now named Horse and Bull Fine Automobile Service. You probably guess how I came up with that name, but I want to do something that just makes it a little lively with all of that. Because, you know, I enjoy working on pre-paddle shifted era Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I also like Dodge Vipers. I also like Rolls Royce. I also like vintage racers like my Chinook Lotus Formula B and many of the things on the channel. One of the reasons being is when something's handmade, it's got a lot of soul. It's got a lot of craftsmanship in it. But it's also kind of a delicate work of art that likes to break a lot. And you need somebody that's more than a parts changing, computer programming, check engine light sort of mechanic. You need somebody who's a craftsman and can make parts or find a deal. And then beyond that, of course, you need someone who's going to be a caretaker of your car and treat it with more respect than their own. And one of the signs of, I think, I'm going to make a lot of people mad when I say this, I don't really want to entrust my car to a person or people who have never nor ever will own similar types of cars. And I will simply leave it at that. But this Rolls Royce, mine. So the 1996 Silver Spur that I recently got and had a trailer home, I think it's a neat car. I actually bought it for $8,000, took a big gamble. Now this particular one was purchased back in 2021 for $18,000 from Beverly Hills Motor Club, which has a lot of neat cars that usually need a lot of work, and they're priced reasonably according. So keep that in mind. But in any case, it was purchased from there, and then the gentleman that had it proceeded to put another $8,000 to $10,000 in it, redoing all of the self-leveling suspension system as well as the brakes, which is a fascinating system on Rolls Royce. And then when I got it, the right rear door was stuck shut. So I had to figure that out. Fortunately, I was carefully able to remove oh, that's right, I haven't fixed the out part yet. I was able to remove the inner door pieces and figure out what the problem was. The child locks were engaged, so the inside would not open up. And unfortunately, the little wires, shall we call them, or the rods that are actuated from the outside, when I glanced at it, looked like someone had made and fabricated a new one, but they were kind of weak, so it wasn't able to do the job. So I'm gonna fix that. Got a couple modules to fix. Gonna do a little paint work to make it nice. Got new tires, get the hubcaps back on and all that, go through it, make it nice. So the story is what sparked me to do this. I'm also gonna tell us in a way, because I don't wanna piss off more people, because this is not the exposure somebody would want. But I work on all my cars myself, with some exception. Sometimes on my daily driving, 20-year-old BMWs, I don't feel like doing dirty work because the cars are not that much fun to work on. They're everyday cars, and I don't care as much. So it's easier sometimes for me to send it to someone else, especially if there's someone with all kinds of computers and malarkey for tracking down the annoying things that guys that like to work on Weber carburetors and sandcast engines don't want to have to deal with, right? So I have a place that I used to take it to that specialized only in BMW, and they were great. And I told my wife, as long as this place is around, we are going to own used BMWs as our everyday car because it makes my life easier. I can concentrate on this kind of stuff, and they can worry about our everyday cars. Well, it changed hands, and that's fine and dandy and all. But I still went to give them the benefit of the doubt because I thought the guys were doing a pretty good job. However, had an ABS module issue, fail on a BMW, and we could put a used one on, which is fine. It was nice of them to use a used part because from BMW, it's absurdly expensive, cost prohibitive. So they put it on. In any case, got it back. They got it all sorted, and they were nice to deal with. And I drove the car, and I noticed the first day, a moment at a traffic light, my brake pedal suddenly kind of went soft and then came back. And I didn't think that much of it because on my everyday cars, well, let's just say when you do racing and you have your own cars, you know what you can get away with, and I kind of forgot about it. Well, it did it again to me a week later or so, and I don't drive that car hardly ever. And my wife drove it sometime later, and she goes, hey, there is an idiot light on saying low brake fluid. I'm like, what? So I popped it open. Now, would you believe that there is brake fluid coming from all over the top of the ABS module? And I looked at it, and with my fingers, the nuts that are on the tubes, the brake tubes, were not even finger tight. So they didn't tighten down the brake lines. Not something I love from an everyday car, which my wife drives with my little kiddo, and certainly something I wouldn't love if it was a prized, handmade, beautiful vehicle like this you spent your life working to have and taking care of. So I took it back and I go, hey man, so it's leaking a lot of brake fluid and it's down. I'm gonna limp it over. I need you guys to check that out. And then I picked it out and he goes, yeah, that's so the brake lines were loose. I don't know, that sort of thing can happen. I go, hold on. You and I both know that sort of thing can't just happen. And brake lines don't just come loose. One of your guys never tightened them down. Let's be honest, I'm not mad, but that's how that works. And so he kind of nodded because he knows I know things. So that was one thing. Now, the Rolls, I would never take a Rolls Royce into anywhere that services Rolls, unless it's a brand new one, you have to plug in the computers. I would never take this Rolls Royce to a dealership, but that's me, and this isn't my car. This is a client's car that sent it to me. I'm very honored. We're going to talk about that in a sec. It's got a really, really neat car, but mine. So when I had some other things, I drove it, and to me, I didn't think it was shifting. Rolls Royce is so smooth and quiet, like you're floating on a cloud, but it's kind of hard to tell when it shifts, to be honest. But I'm like, this thing's starting off in second gear. I don't think it's shifting in the top. I think it's only in 2 gears. Now, it's a General Motors automatic transmission. So I was thinking, hey, the local place that I've gone to, I think I'm just going to call them up and say, maybe they can plug their computer into the automatic. And to be honest, I don't like automatic transmissions. Virtually every car I've ever owned are sports cars with a stick. And notice I said I'll service pre-paddle shifting because I even hate paddle shifting because I'm an old curmudgeon like that. Mostly I know how to drive and I hate away things that take that away from me and give it to nouveau riche wankers in Miami. But I digress. The automatic transmission, the Rolls, I thought, hey, I need new tires. I'll take it by them to install it. And they can plug in their computer or they can check out the automatic and maybe they'll figure it out and then I'll fix it later. So the plot thickens. I take it in, and the next day I get a call from their lackey that said, we have a situation. I'm like, okay. Well, you see, you brought it in yesterday. I'm like, hey, man, I'm working. Get to the point. He goes, your car's leaking a lot of gas, and we can't legally let it go anywhere until we fix it. And I'm like, okay, first of all, it's not an airplane on the tarmac somewhere. This isn't the FAA, but okay, where's it leaking from? I don't know. I'm like, maybe you could tell me that, and we could think about it. So they took this top stuff off the motor, which I have one of the things. I took the cover off, the aesthetic cover, and they took off this intake tube and a couple things. It's real easy, right? And allegedly, there was a ton of fuel pooling in the valley of the motor and then coming down and going like this down to the floor. Now, I put my hand in the stuff, and I'm like, that doesn't really smell like fuel to me. So, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, so where's it leaking from? Where is this? And he's like, well, we need to rebuild the injectors and all the injectors and blah, blah, blah. We need to redo a fuel line because that one's hard. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at it. And I'm not going to go into all the detail, but whatever. And I said to him, I said, because they couldn't find the book on it in terms of how many hours it costs to charge me. And they couldn't find the parts. I'd have to do that anyway. I don't want them to get in a whole rigmarole because respectfully, I'm going to do a more detail-oriented job on my own car. And they're reasonably pricey for their level of expertise on cars like this. So I said, you know, respectfully, just put it back together. I will push it outside and make it go away so you guys have no liability with that. I understand where you're at, but can we please change the tires? So they changed the tires. I go to pick it up. Now, here's where it gets annoying to me. One, when I get it back, these wheels, they're kind of clean right now, I power washed them, were filthy. Absolutely disgusting. It looked like it had been to a track day and it was all black. It's just all black and goopy from when they did it. They never cleaned it up. You know, we put on good tires, we put on some nice Michelins. I spent more money on the Rolls, so it rides like a Rolls. And the wheels come back absolutely filthy. Now, I said, just leave the hubcaps off because I'm going to do some stuff with them. That's okay. So I left that off, but I just couldn't believe the wheels were so filthy. I'm like, what is that trying to say to me? The other thing was, my ignition area here, this area here, look at that. It's totally knocked loose. Now, I don't know if before it had been broken before I had it and it was glued in haphazardly, but I do know that that wasn't loose when I brought it in and no one said anything to me. So some ham-fisted mechanic went to jam it in, bust it loose and didn't have to at least tell me, which I found annoying. Also, they told me that there are no codes on the transmission and it's fine. Made me feel crazy and stupid, of course, but okay, you know, they looked at it, maybe they know. So anyway, I get it. I put it in a trailer. I bring it back here. I'm sitting on the car for a while because I'm thinking, oh, great, it's got a fuel leak. The transmission's fine, whatever. Anyway, so I fire it up, pull it out. So I'm going to watch for this fuel leak. Keep in mind that the electric fuel pump makes full pressure all the time. So if it's going to leak, it's going to do it at idle, whether you're driving. So I let it idle forever until it's up to full temperature. No fuel, no leak of any kind. Okay. I'm going to take the fire extinguisher with me. I'm going to have the hood cracked. I'm going to drive down the road. Drive down the road a few miles and back, get on it. Full temperature, drive it around, drive another block, come back. No fuel leaks, bone dry. They did not fix anything. I'm just adding that note in case anybody wondered. I'm like, okay. But the thing I noticed is the transmission isn't shifting. It's not. So I was just kind of flabbergasted. And then when I looked back in consideration of this shop and what they've done with my regular cars, so, okay, you did an ABS module in a car with the brakes that I give to my wife to take our little child in, and the mechanic doesn't tighten the down brake lines down. And it leaks fluid all over the place and to the point where it's gone, and if somebody just kept driving it, you would lose brakes. Okay, so big problem there. This car, it's a Rolls Royce. Can I just say that? Owned by a YouTuber who collects cars and knows cars and builds race cars really well. And you change the tires. And you give it back to him with all four wheels, wildly filthy, way filthier than when you put them on, because all the crap they used to put the wheels on. Really? Like, what is that trying to say? You guys don't care? You think I'm an asshole? Like, I don't know. Or you just don't care. Or they're not managing their people. Or the standards aren't well. None of those things are acceptable for a shop at all. I don't care if it's a Rolls Royce or somebody's Honda. If they work hard and they're paying them money to do it, like, don't make the car way more filthy. If something breaks when it's in your service, like the ignition, at least mention it. And how is it that there was a massive fuel leak to where they can't test drive the car, but they can't find where it's coming from, that they want to do more work? And then when I get it back, the fuel leak has magically gone away completely, okay? That doesn't happen. That just basically does not happen. There's no big fuel leak on a car that just suddenly goes away. I'm sure somebody could think of a 1 in a million scenario where it would do it, but I don't believe that's the case. There's no fuel leak. And guess what? The transmission's not okay. It's not shifting 2 gears. So that was an experience that I had, that I have not had that kind of experience, I don't think ever, because I've always worked on my own things. And I thought I'd let them try it out, and they're pretty smart. Well, maybe I'll let them work on something simple on an everyday car in the future that you can't screw up, and hopefully that they don't. But this tells me that everybody else has that same problem if there's an interesting car that they want to enjoy. And there's a lot of people that have done a well life and maybe they have multiple interesting cars. So my shop, I'm going to call it Horse and Bull. I am in Northwest Ohio, but of course we'll serve out beyond that. So any fine handmade car, obviously I specialize in things that go fast. So Doesn't really matter if it's a Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati. I'm not a huge Porsche guy. I like water-cooled Porsches better. They're not exactly handmade. That's gonna make people mad. But I like things that are handmade. Obviously Rolls and Bentley and such. It goes back to the days of vintage racing. So that's what I've got going on. So why don't we have a little more fun and talk about this car? This is my first client car of doing horse and bull fine automobile service. This is a 1974 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow. Takes me a second to make sure I'm not getting things wrong. It's the shorter wheelbase. And this particular car originally was owned by an Italian noble family. And then later, I believe in the early 90s, was sold to the Italian film producer, Dino De Laurentiis. I think he did everything, including Conan the Barbarian. And I'm pretty sure his daughter, or more likely granddaughter, is Giada De Laurentiis of the Cooking Network fame, who is lovely to listen to and to look at and to watch cook. Yes, she's delightful. Anyway, so here it is, and it's a great, great car. It's beautiful, it's in black, it's finished with that. With this very beautiful cream interior, and I've got some perfectly laundered bath towels in it, because even with my nice clean clothes, I want to make sure that it's flawlessly clean for the owner of this car. Unlike some people who can't even clean the wheels after changing tires. But I digress. Casey, don't be passive aggressive. It doesn't suit you. Oh, nature of Rolls Royce. Yes. Okay, so in any case, let me get my notebook. So there's a number of things this car needs. Now, what's interesting about this Rolls Royce and why the gentleman chose to send it to me is because most people who work on like cars like that or Vipers or whatever, they don't like Rolls Royce. They're too delicate and dainty. They're not exciting and tire-burning and fast, and they have strange systems of brakes and suspension. Oh, that's too hard to learn, apparently, if you know fast cars. Well, they're all lame. Having a Rolls Royce is like having a sailing yacht, and it's not about getting to the destination. You are already in the destination, and it's about lifestyle. But in any case, so this particular one, it's got a clunk shifting in reverse that I believe I saw relating to the rear suspension or driveline, because I noticed a little move when it did that. Some funny little noises coming from the wheels when it's driving slowly, and you have the window open. It's a very quiet, lovely car. You can actually steer and shift with your pinky finger. Make all the jokes you like. It's delightful. A couple of teeny tiny little dings. Maybe we can remove those carefully. There's a big exhaust leak coming from the tubes that connect the two banks of the motor. Makes it sound atrocious, so I gotta fix that. SU carburetor variants. So the carburetors I'm going to, at the very least, adjust, maybe rebuild a touch. Seems to be, when it's warm, idling rather rich. Also gotta check the AC and the heat function on all of that. Seems to be off. There's some filters in the trunk and speedo cable noise. So just a number of things that are taking away from the experience of it being a Rolls Royce and being super confident in it. So I'm looking forward to adjusting it and making it perfect. Of course, SU carburetors are very simple, but they're very sophisticated. I think originally came out in England in the 1920s and were used all the way through, at the very least, the 60s and 70s, as this one is here. But they're very vacuum sensitive and you have to understand them. But I kind of enjoy them. I actually raced a Triumph powered Devon years ago with SU carburetor on it, so I know them well. So looking forward to doing that. Obviously the exhaust leak, the noise in the wheels and whatnot, slow speeds and the climate control, those are all things that are important, including how it idles and drives, for enjoying a Rolls Royce to its fullest and having that experience. So we just need to make the car be such a good experience for them, because that's what it's all about. It's pretty to look at, obviously, in black over white. It's very formal, very lovely. And I know this is not smell-o-vision. Sometimes you should thank me for it not being smell-o-vision, because this is a hot shop on occasion. But I wish you knew how this leather smells. It's just so regal and rich and lovely. Obviously, the wood and all of the switches and everything that relates. I think we're going to have a good time and enjoy this 1974 Rolls Royce Silver Shadow. Did I say that right? Silver Spur, Silver Shadow. No Freudian slips, please. So in any case, yeah, the thing about it was nobody wanted to work on the car. It's difficult to find. I am in Northwest Ohio and look forward to do that. Obviously, I have a lot of connections going way back when for machinists, or if I need extra specialized welding that I can't do. I got TIG welders and everything here. basic fabrication and such. I'm gonna keep it with older handmade things, generally speaking, really fancy computers and pre-paddle shifting. That's really more of my forte. And then of course I got some great people with regard to paint or paintless dent repair, things like that. And actually I look forward to getting back to things with car detailing. Because before car detailing ever became a mainstream thing where people coined terms like paint correction, which is basically a fancy name for polishing and wet sanding if need be. Which if you come up with, if you come up with names for it, it makes it more special to make more money. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just gonna tell you the truth. In any case, I look forward to kind of getting back to the days when I used to restore my own cars and go to Concours d'Elegances. And of course, use the talent I've accrued over the years with my own cars and building to help other people enjoy the future. So that's basically it. But if you have a fine handmade car of whatever era, and you're having a difficult time with people, whether you need a major service on something like a Ferrari or you got some carburetor issues or whatever that may be, you can hit me up. Of course, at the moment, you can contact me through my website, Putsch Racing, which is largely a placeholder for what I do. I will have more information on Horse and Bull coming up soon with some logo and branding. And then later, of course, I'll have a website up for this. At the time being, I am only one man. So I'm going to pick and choose with what cars I work on and clients that I bring in at the moment. I want to have very nice relationships with people that understand the cars and also, frankly, understand and appreciate the effort, service, and skill that goes into it. So appreciate me or don't contact me. We can all have fun together, but if you want a brand new car with a warranty where people throw parts at it and everything's perfect all the time, well, then that's why they sell brand new cars. But if you need somebody to help you through the world of vintage and esoteric, funky handmade cars that have a soul and need somebody to talk to them just right, well, then that may be me. In any case, that's that. So now, beyond the Rolls Royce here, there's a number of other people that reached out to me, and I'm trying to remember how many cars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I don't know, better part of a dozen cars. I've got people that already are like, when you're ready. So that's very exciting too. There's other things going on, a little bit of a surprise here for later, and that's it. So I'm really excited to do this with you guys. But again, Horse and Bull Restorations, you can find me through Putsch Racing. Obviously, I'm Casey Putsch. You can hit me up through Instagram or whatnot, or email me if you have a car you'd like me to look after. But that's it. I'm talking too long. Tomorrow is going to be the Guanchi with Genius Garage with the 3rd of 4 video series before I help the students. And actually, there's students up front working on their go-karts and learning right now. So I'm glad that I was able to build that program to empower young people. And if you care about the high-end trades and young people, whether they're going into an engineering through kind of the white-collar traditional way, or they're going to be hands-on and building motorsports, check out Genius Garage. Consider helping the effort that I was able to spearhead and continually lead. But in the meantime, if you have some funky cars, hit me up and maybe I can help you out with them. I'm in Northwest Ohio, and please subscribe. See you guys next time.